What is hiking like in China? I've been based in Shenzhen for like 2 years, and back home when I was in Canada, I used to hike very often. I used to just go out on a trail, find a mountain, whatever, and just go for a long walk. But unlike in the West, where hiking culture is like super prevalent, it's easy to find information and like maps and stuff where you could just up and go. I find actually it was a little bit difficult to find a sort of same information here in China. So I just decided to make my own hikes, and I called them the station to station challenge. So the goal is I start from one metro station and I go to the highest point, like the summit along the way, and I end at another metro station. This summer I planned 3 hikes. Each one was like farther, higher, more obscure than the last one, across different parts of Shenzhen. Yeah, I had a great time, but it wasn't without some surprises and fails, and I learned a lot about what it's like to hike in China and how it differs from like other countries. So I hope these next few videos will scratch the curiosity about hiking trails and culture here in China.
This sucks. This really sucks. It's kind of dark, kind of scary.
So I got this such good hospitality. I don't give a shit. Probably the worst part about hiking in China.
I really hope I get out of here.
What is hiking like in China? It wasn't that intuitive to find trails, so I decided I'll just make my own damn trail. In the series, I'm gonna call the Station to Station Challenge. We'll explore what hiking is like here in China, and maybe you'll see how it compares to where you're from. We're gonna do Wutong Mountain South Station and hike all the way to Shanwai Senior Campus Station. 1,115 meter ascent. Why do I do this? It's probably a good biking path. Oh wait, never mind. Wutong Mountain has the highest peak in Shenzhen, and it's probably one of the most popular trails, so we're starting off nice and simple, but definitely wasn't hard. It started to get pretty steep. The one thing that did stand out is how unprepared people are. You got people going up with plastic bags and flip-flops. A nice treat was there's always things to buy along the way, so you don't have to pack in advance. But there's a big problem.
Blasting full volume music on hikes.
Yeah,
I'm not used to that.
Handmade thing.
As you'll see, it feels like some people are just allergic to using their headphones for some reason. For the most part, people are really friendly and the hike is going really well so far. I'm about 30% of the way through. And here by the TV Tower, they have a full-blown convenience store.
Oh,
so
they also have beer. Jeez.
People are really friendly, and maybe because I'm a foreigner, the kids really like coming up and talking to me in English. But we're not going to stop here. We got to keep going.
There we go.
If I could help it, I was told not to go hiking on the weekends because it's super busy. But because the weather was supposed to be bad, there weren't as many people on the trails this Sunday.
So close. We got a helicopter landing. I was just about to say how like much quieter this part of the trail is, and then I'm like, oh, it's so quiet and peaceful now. And then this huge helicopter lands like right behind my ear. Jeez, with their loudspeakers blasting. Tofu Hill.
So most trails in China that even have an ounce of popularity are probably going to be paved, so you don't have to worry about hiking shoes or anything like that.
Just, so far, everything is just stairs. Great Wutong, finally the sign. That's the peak.
And if you only want to hike part of the way, you could just take a shuttle or a bus up to these areas, and then you could either hike down or just hike to the peak and back here and just take a shuttle back home. All right, final push to the peak. I realized people are really friendly. You just start talking and you kind of make an impromptu trail partner along the way.
They also have a lot of snacks.
As usual, there's a lot of conveniences, but also you could just buy a medal to reward yourself that you've made it.
The highest peak right here. Now we gotta walk down, and you could actually see the station right there.
You kind of realize how unprepared many folks are because they're starting to walk up now where I figured by the time I get to the bottom it's going to be dark for sure. Now going on the other side of the mountain, you get a view of Hong Kong. And with almost 5 hours into this hike, I feel like I'm ready to call it a day. So far, a big pro is the infinite amount of convenience. You could just buy stuff at any point of the trail. But definitely the most annoying thing was the amount of noise pollution. People just blasting their JBLs.
I gotta get down the mountain fast.
After about 5 hours, we finally made it to the station.
Oh my god, here it is. Shanwai Station. Done. Well, that's it. That's it for the hike. That was pretty fun.
One done, 2 to go. What is hiking like in China? It wasn't that intuitive to find trails, so I decided I'll make my own series of hikes in what I'll call the Station to Station Challenge. The first hike was a breeze, so time to step up.
This is a 23-ish kilometer hike. Take about 9 hours. We have about 1,500 meters of elevation gain. And we're going from Guangming Station, line 7, all the way to Yangming Station, line 5, across 3 mountain ranges. Tanglang Mountain, Meilin Mountain, and I forgot the last one. But either way, we're trying to hit the peaks along the way, the highest points, and go from one station to the other. All right, let's do it. 你好，你可以拍照吗？我啊，谢谢，谢谢。
So the first hike on Wutong Mountain is going to be a walk in the park compared to this hike. So right off the bat, we're walking through a lychee tree farm. But after we reach this first mound, there isn't much of a view because of the overcast. Though I have to say, I love the signs.
Caution, bridge ahead. said Dumbledore quietly. It's just this little thing.
Now, the biggest thing that stood out from the first hike was, where's everybody? This is the only guy I saw this pretty much entire first half of the day, which is pretty strange because the trail is well marked. There's even these bathrooms here. I actually ran into another couple or so here, but they're just walking on the road that crosses through here. So at the very least, we still have the conveniences of vending machines, power banks, and stuff like that. But as I walk farther and further, I notice there's nobody here. Yeah, it's Thursday and overcast, but this is a city of 13 million people.
Look at this.
So I reached the peak of Tanglang Mountain, which is about 400 meters or so. And so far, I've seen like half a dozen people in this cat. But we're only like a fifth of the way there, so we gotta keep moving. Super hot. Yeah, that's sweat. I know that's kind of gross.
Right,
but
so
anyway, vending machine, grab a quick drink, and then we're off.
Also, I noticed some people going shirtless, so...
And as I make my way through the end of this first of three mountains, I can't help but feel how strange it is that there really isn't too many people here. Actually, the further I go, the more I start to realize the cracks in the trail organization. The signs don't always line up. I even got lost a little bit. But the next mountain range is around the corner, and things start to take a little bit of a turn.
It's all pretty overgrown. Feels almost abandoned. Last of Us style, you know? Chinese edition.
All right, we're a third of the way through. See you next video. What is hiking like in China? It wasn't that intuitive to find trails, so I decided I'll make my own series of hikes in what I'll call the station-to-station challenge. The first hike was a breeze, so time to step up.
This is a 23-ish kilometer hike. Take about 9 hours. We have about 1,500 meters of elevation gain. And we're going from Chaguang Station, line 7, all the way to Yangming Station, line 5, across 3 mountain ranges. Tanglang Mountain, Meilin Mountain, and I forgot the last one. But either way, we're trying to hit the peaks along the way, the highest points, and go from one station to the other. All right, let's do it. 你好，你可以拍照吗？我啊，谢谢，谢谢。
So the first hike on Wutong Mountain is going to be a walk in the park compared to this hike. So right off the bat, we're walking through a lychee tree farm. But after we reach this first mound, there isn't much of a view because of the overcast. Though I have to say, I love the signs.
Caution, bridge ahead, said Dumbledore quietly. It's just this little thing.
Now, the biggest thing that stood out from the first hike was, where's everybody? This is the only guy I saw this pretty much entire first half of the day, which is pretty strange because the trail is well marked. There's even these bathrooms here. I actually ran into another couple or so here, but they're just walking on the road that crosses through here. So at the very least, we still have the conveniences of vending machines, power banks, and stuff like that. But as I walk farther and further, I notice there's nobody here. Yeah, it's Thursday and overcast, but this is a city of 13 million people.
Look at this.
So I reached the peak of Tanglang Mountain, which is about 400 meters or so. And so far, I've seen like half a dozen people in this cat. But we're only like a fifth of the way there, so we gotta keep moving. Super hot. Yeah, that's sweat. I know that's kind of gross. Right, but so anyway, vending machine, grab a quick drink, and then we're off.
Also, I noticed some people going shirtless, so...
And as I make my way through the end of this first of three mountains, I can't help but feel how strange it is that there really isn't too many people here. Actually, the further I go, the more I start to realize the cracks in the trail organization. The signs don't always line up. I even got lost a little bit. But the next mountain range is around the corner, and things start to take a little bit of a turn.
It's all pretty overgrown. Feels almost abandoned. Last of Us style, you know? Chinese edition.
All right, we're a third of the way through. See you next video. All right, this is hike 2 of 3 of the station-to-station challenge. We finished up Tanglang mountain range, and now we're going to traverse across the Meilin County Park.
It's like trail magic, except you have to pay for it.
Where we're going to summit the Danaoke Peak and then head toward the last mountain range.
在一边听不懂 Some birthday cake and some spicy. 哇，太辣了！我这是外国人不可以吃。These literally taste like chocolate Dunkaroos.
So the weather started to turn, and after a quick snack of birthday cake Oreos and spicy sticks,
Okay, 再见. Bye-bye.
Also chatting up with some workers, we take a bit of a detour along the paved road to get a faster mileage in.
It's definitely raining. Well, you can see the reservoir and Shenzhen up in the distance. It's starting to rain quite a bit. And fast on this Meilin trail.
It started to pour, and I definitely only prepared well enough for a light drizzle, so I was kind of screwed. As I make my way up to Danaoke, there really is no one out here hiking.
Dude, there's a crab. Why is there a crab in the mountain? I don't understand. That's the last thing I expected to see was a crab. Is that a crab? That was weird.
There's a couple folks sitting at a pavilion on this roadway, but that's pretty much it.
There's the Meilin Reservoir.
And I don't blame them. The path has literally turned into a stream, and thank goodness for the ropes and railings along some of the sections.
Oh, I'm almost at the peak of done and okay or whatever. Dude, look at these. Look at this stream. It's kicking my ass.
And as I reach the peak, I start to have some doubts.
Okay. I don't know if I should finish this hike, man. I'm not gonna lie. Soaking wet. Maybe I gotta do this again. I'm here at the overpass.
At this point, we're only 7 hours in and just past halfway.
I don't know how far I could get. I don't know if I could finish, but I'm gonna do my best.
As I get to the end of the mountain range, across a bridge made for animals to cross actually, between the parks, I came across a non-operating vending machine with the drinks like obviously sun-kissed to oblivion.
Let's do this. Let's go! I think this is a bit of an abandoned area. Here's a vending machine, but it looks off. See, I don't get it. Stuff looks like it's
Making me wonder why they build such great parks and pavilions and all these resources only to abandon them with no maintenance or any sort of life afterwards. After all, this is like the closest nature park to the city. On a later hike, I sort of figure out why, so let's get into that.
This sucks. This really sucks. Oh, yo, what the heck? What is hiking like in China? On the second hike of the Station to Station Challenge, we traversed across Shenzhen's Tanglang mountain range and Meilin Park, and now we're on a home stretch across the Yinhu mountain range. So, after the Animal Pass, in a bit of an uphill stretch, I arrived at a beautiful biking greenway, swirling along the edge of the mountainside. Holy shit, we got some runners. This is the first time I've seen people in a while. It startled me. And holy shit, that couple, they were jacked. They were so jacked. Oh, so tropical. From here on out, I only come across a single power couple out on a run. It's like pretty lonely. Sun is setting fast and I have a choice. I know I'm supposed to be rushing, but I'm not gonna make it before dark, so might as well get some treat, which is probably gonna be... I either continue down the greenway or I make a last ditch effort toward the peak for me to truly complete the hike. It's kind of dark. It's kind of scary. I want to get out of here. I'm not gonna lie. I'm running into so many spider webs. I keep having to climb. I just feel like I'm so deep in the clouds. The sun's gonna set in 40 minutes. Probably get much darker before then. So many spiders. This sucks. This really sucks. Oh my god. I decide YOLO and go for it, but oh man, I'm starting to really regret this. I made it, but at what cost? I'm deep in the clouds, alone on a mountain, in a foreign country, in the middle of nowhere, with no one in sight. Oh, yo, what the heck? Oh my god, safety. I still gotta get out of here, but I want to make it to the bottom before it's too dark. And the city is like way out in the distance. I'm spending most of the rest of the time like super tense and just trying to calm down. Finally, I make it to the greenway, and besides a lone woman pulling down a jug of water that she fills from the mountain stream, I spend the next hour in darkness, making my way toward the city. Dude, you hear those frogs? They're so loud. Until finally, just finally, I make it to the station, to Guangming Station for the long ride back home, where I could celebrate with some Peking duck pizza. Damn, what a day. Pizza. Alright, one more hike to go. What is hiking like in China? So, this is my third and final hike for the Station to Station Challenge in Shenzhen. Yeah, the hike's about 26 kilometers. I think it's about 1,100 meters in elevation gain. So, on paper, it was only a small step from the last one. Like, it's a little bit longer and a little bit farther, but what made a difference was, well, how unknown it felt. After riding one of the metro lines almost to the end, I arrived at Guangming area, starting at Fenghuang Town Station. A short walk through the city led me to what inspired this hike in the first place, the giant red bridge, seemingly floating above the tree line, spiraling its way up the mountain. A common pattern I've been noticing is these massive, ambitious projects funded by the local government, right? It's this nearly 10-kilometer long pedestrian walkway, for example, this red bridge, intertwined with like unique buildings around, like a go-kart track that's abandoned, bike paths, ponds, etc. But even some interesting mountainside platforms like this solar panel lined floored white pavilion thing. But almost nobody uses them. In fact, it seems that after the initial build, there's often little to no maintenance or upkeep at all. It's like kind of falling apart. As I'm contemplating all this, I head deeper into the unknown, following the edge of the reservoir. The day was long and brutally hot, and unlike the first two hikes, once I left the areas easily accessible by road, I discovered that there are simply no resources out here, like no water, no bathrooms.
Past the popular areas, the crowds disappear completely. Over the next few hours, I passed maybe 4 or 5 people total, and they just reach the peak and turn back.
A bit of a last resort. If I don't find water, I guarantee I have to bail because there's so much to go and I have no water. This is my last bottle.
As I passed the peak, eventually I reached the edge of the next mountain range and I had to make a call. Do I push on, hoping to find water somewhere ahead for the next 4 to 5 hours, or do I bail now and come back better prepared?
水果吗？叫什么？法国。这不是花吗？ Oh, I'm with some guys here.
The trailhead looked completely abandoned and overgrown, and today didn't feel like a day to gamble, so I turned back toward town.
谢谢，拜拜。Alright, I guess that's a wrap.
Next time I'm going to have a little bit of a different plan. I'll probably start from the other end and go backwards, so see you next video.
Couldn't finish DNF, but 6 hours, 12 minutes. I'm still proud of it. Alright, another day, another hike. This is actually the third station-to-station challenge hike I'm doing here in Shenzhen. It's just a self-made hike. This is my second attempt. I failed last time. It's that Red Bridge place I was last time. This time for my second attempt, I'm actually going to do it in reverse. I'm going to start at the end and go to the beginning. I'm starting late in the day. It's 1 p.m. right now, so I'll probably do a bit of night hiking by the end. Luckily, it'll be more familiar because I've already walked the first 30-40%. So the hike is going to be about 1,100 meters of elevation gain in total and about 26 kilometers through the mountain range. So look, so many kind people in China. We met Ryan here. Got a bag of lychees. Bye-bye. Okay, so the main goal today is get to the last point that I bailed before dark. So if I could get there before dark, then I could kind of know my way all the way to the end, even if it's darker. I'll feel a little bit more confident. But if I'm walking in the dark in sort of an unknown part, then it's going to be kind of sketchy. There's not a lot of marked signs, and the ones that are here, they're completely sunburnt and faded. I have all my water with me, so hopefully I don't run out in the next 8 to 10 hours. We'll see. If I don't make it there, I really don't know what I'm going to do. I dropped my sunscreen somewhere. I haven't seen a single person. Definitely look beautiful. Dude, what? These all have different names. Maybe I'm just at a different part of the trail like this. But yeah, now it's Guangming Hiking and Mountain Trail. So maybe it's just like a different jurisdiction. Though it's still Shuitou Trail and it was for a while. I don't really get the naming convention here at all. I really don't. This was built once. And then they're just like, meh. And they left it. No further improvement, no further fixing. Nobody's here. Nobody comes here. So it's all just left to rot. It's kind of sad, you know, there's a sadness to it. I don't know why. I don't really know where I have to go. There's 2 paths. I kind of hit 2 dead ends. Not really dead ends, but they're like completely overgrown. Just like above the head height plants and reeds. And it really feels like I don't know where that's gonna go. So I guess this risk didn't pay off. Shit. Everything was going pretty smooth, but looks like I gotta backtrack. Sometimes I wonder why I do this stupid stuff. I go around and I gotta do. Alright, so I got a bit of a crazy hiking story while I was in China. So one day I had this really long hike planned. It was like 25 kilometers long, 1,500 meters elevation gain. It was pretty long. And anyway, 4 hours into the hike, terrible navigation, you know, the signs are unreliable, sun-baked, or like JPEG images completely blown up. You can't read them. I'm kind of lost. The buildings are like abandoned, and I kind of got to a dead end, right? It was like a swamp. I'm like, okay, I can't keep pushing through. I gotta like circle back. I gotta make a 5-hour walk back or something, you know, this sucks. But 20 minutes later, as I started walking back, I saw a guy. He was wearing full-blown camo, like full-on, like head to toe. And he's got like a bag of lychees, he's got a bag of rice, and he's got like, you know, a tattered tote bag. I'm like, all right. So I asked him like, hey, where are you going? He said he's going the way I came from, right? I'm like, hey, can I follow you? He's like, sure. And I'm like, okay, I'm putting a lot of trust in this guy. So I follow him. I get to the point of no return, and he just pushes through. It's like this swamp with like huge plants and whatever. I'm like going underneath and like barely keeping up with him. He's walking, but I'm like running to keep up. He's so fast. And I'm like, my heart's beating. I'm like, is this a good idea? And as we're going, we kind of go through more abandoned buildings. We take a bit of a break for a second, you know, kind of looking out. And he's just staring, you know. Doesn't have a phone he's using, just staring out into the sun, you know. I'm like, okay, man, respect. Anyway, we keep moving. Okay.
And I feel like as we're getting deeper, I'm like, I don't know, this is probably a mistake. And there's a point where, you know, I start hearing dogs barking. I'm like, okay, we're kind of near civilization, near a village or something. And then he's like, wait here. And I'm like, okay. And then from his toe bag, he pulls out like a machete, like a full-blown sword. I'm like, I'm dead. I'm done. This is it. Goodbye, world. And he walks like 50 meters forward into this like beehive area. And all he does is he just like puts it like into one of the beehives just to hold it, you know what I mean? And then he walks back, he's like, let's keep going. I'm like, all right, man, let's go. Keep walking. I'm like, okay, you know, that was sketchy, but at the same time, I'm getting this like weird, beautiful sunset kind of vibe, Last of Us feel, like I hear the soundtrack of Last of Us in my mind. Anyway, we kind of get to near the end part, and I see like dogs. I'm like, oh shit, well, what's going on? You know, there's a bunch of stray dogs, but we just walk through. No problem. And then we get to the trail, and then I'm like, hey, I got to turn here. And he's like, don't go there. Not safe.
我去这里。对，这里。
Go to the road. I'm like, oh no, but this is the way out. So I didn't listen to him. I just said bye, and I went the other way that I thought would be better. And I guess you'll see what's up.
I'm going to be walking half this mountain in the dark. Wish me luck. 我去这里。对。He's like, don't go this way. He was trying to take me a different route. And I told him, no, I'm climbing the mountain. He said, it's very difficult, very, very difficult. And I told him, it's okay. He said, if I'm going to the Red Bridge, go around, you know? Anyway, quick update. So I'm back in the forest. I know where I am now. I've been here before. There's gonna be a lot of night walking tonight, that's for sure. Wish me luck. Pathway's quite nice. I made this greenway before it got too dark. I did this whole thing. I went down this crazy route. I should have taken that, that's for sure. And then I did the side trail to the greenway. This greenway is going to take me to the Red Bridge. So I'm taking this path. I don't know, you can't really see too much out there. Oh, some guys looking for something there. Wasn't exactly sure. Sometimes I wonder why I do this stupid stuff. Definitely dark now. Oh my God, look at that. My headlamp's a little bit out of battery. But I see the Red Bridge, so I'm hyped. Oh my God, I'm so close, but we have a problem. He's gonna go around it. Why does everything just keep getting harder and harder? Oh my God. Turned off though. So if you're out of water, you're screwed at night. What am I gonna do if the Red Bridge is closed though? Bad news is I had a battery on my headlamp. Nice, 6 kilometers left. Damn, look at this. This is one of the most incredible roads, like pathways I've ever seen. Alright, I'm at the city portion of the Red Bridge. Just a little bit more to go. And that's it. Jeez. Let's look at the stats. 9 hours and 9 minutes, 26.74 kilometers. That's a wrap. I can't believe I made it. Let's get out of here. Let's get some pizza or something. All right, so what is hiking like in China? So I just finished all the videos of my station to station challenge here in Shenzhen. We did 3 hikes, Wutong Mountain at first, and then we did Meilin mountain range, well, 3 other mountains, and then Guangming area with the Red Bridge. Took 2 attempts, but we made it. Each hike was harder than the last, and I guess briefly, you know, this was a station to station challenge. So we went from one metro station over the peak and we ended another station. What did I learn from this whole experience? Well, one is that hiking culture is just different in China than the West. You know, one thing you got to know is China's still a developing country, right? You know, even though you have these big cities and you see this stuff on social media of like, wow, super cyberpunk China, whatever. Most of China is still not very well off, right? You know, the median income is pretty low and people are just getting by, and if they're not working, they'd rather be resting, eating good food, hanging out with family and friends, etc., right? Stuff like putting luxury toward pushing your body in the mountains, sweating, working hard, and suffering is not really high on the list, right? That's kind of a luxury for those that are comfortable already, right? So I guess my impression is that here in Shenzhen, they built these hikes because I think the main thing they're trying to do is show that we're a big city too. You know, New York, you know, a bunch of European cities, whatever, they've got hiking trails and parks, you know, we have them too, you know, so they build them, they do them. you know, to be a part of this big thing, because that's just what you do as a big metropolis, I guess, right? And they're sort of copying the same formulas. The thing is, you can't force cultures, so just because you have it doesn't mean people are going to magically use them, right? And then that's the next thing too that's positive for China or the cities, is it creates jobs. You know, they look for projects like, all right, this is one more project to make our city or our town or our area look awesome. Let's get people building the trails and facilities and stuff, you know, and raise the GDP, whatever. So as a result, you're having these projects built, but they're not maintained. They're not looked after they're initially built. Sometimes they're even like embarrassingly built in some aspects, like the signs are not illegible, or they don't really line up, or whatever, you know, or, you know, the paths are overgrown and things like that. So I kind of realized you really can't force the culture, right? You just, you know, I'm used to the West where these are very accessible and very often used and very well maintained, and there's a whole culture around it. But here it's just not the case. So if you're in the city, totally fine. Popular hikes, totally okay. You're with a bunch of people, it's totally all right. But once you're out in a little bit on the outskirts of the city, even though the signage is similar and the quality is initially okay, it's kind of sketchy and pretty abandoned. So, you know, go at your own risk. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the series. If you liked it, just let me know.